Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year's Eve. Wow. First, I want to say thank you so much to all of my subscribers, old and new. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the comments and likes. You all rock. I love and appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much. So, let's get into today's reading. Let's see. I'm going to go with Don't Let Anybody Make You Feel Crazy Because You Figured Them Out. So, spiritual team, what cards can you give us for that reading? Don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out. Just saw 1313 on my clock. Isn't that so true? People people want you to, oh my gosh, this is so true. Don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out. Um, yeah. Seven of Cups. Nine of Swords. Because people do that, don't they? They want to turn it back on you when they're, ooh, the Tower. The Tower. Awesome. Man, I love my spiritual team. I ask them a question and Two of Swords. Awesome. They give me the answers. Thank you, spiritual team. Eight of Wands. Queen of Pentacles, which is about the most positive card here. It's like, okay. So the reading for today is going to be don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out. Toxic people, I don't know a family who doesn't have any toxic people in their life. At least one, right? Someone who's jealous and envious and just out to make your life a living hell, right? Low vibration, temptation, decoys, superficiality, various choices, befuddlement, fantasy, delusions, imagination, inspiration, and creativity. You know, illusions. Yeah. I feel like whoever I'm reading for today, I feel like whoever is the toxic person in your life, whether it's a parent, sibling, friend, coworker, boss, there's a lot of narcissistic bosses out there. We all know that, right? Anybody. Could be anybody in your life. Don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out. When you figure that person out, that toxic person out in your life, whether they're in your immediate life or, around your life, when you figure them out, um, what I've learned from experience is you need to stay quiet, right? You so much want to go in there and say, haha, I figured you out, right? But don't do that because as much as you want to do that, right? You just want to go into that person and say, you know what? I figured you out. You're freaking toxic as, AF, right? You're so toxic. Stay out of my life. Stay away from me. That's going to make that toxic person even more toxic. And they're going to make your life a living hell. Okay? So it looks like, you know, this toxic person is putting decoys and, you know, um, just trying to make you believe their illusions, right? They want you to feel like you're in the Nine of Swords, like you're up all night, can't sleep, haunted by losses, you're troubled, filled with anxiety and panic and despair. That's how the toxic person wants you to feel, okay? They want you to feel like that. Do your best not to feel like that, right? Stay high vibing. Don't go down to their low vibration, okay? They want you to blame yourself. They want you to. Oh, it's your fault. No, it really isn't. It's your fault. The toxic person. Don't listen to anything that the toxic person says to you, right? Absolutely nothing. The toxic person is selfish, right? Very, very selfish. They want to put a tower in your life, right? They want to make you feel like you're in a grave danger and that you're going to have really dire changes in your life, okay? But you're smarter than that. You are smarter than that, right? You always have choices. Always have a choice. Whenever you're dealing, I mean, with any normal person, of course, there's choices. When, uh, even when you're dealing with a toxic person who you figured out, right? There's always choices. You can remain stagnant, right? Or you can think to yourself and be like, why am I even acknowledging this person, right? I figured out that they're cray cray, right? Don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out, right? Um, I don't want to, I mean, there's a lot of toxic people in this world. Yes, there is. But what I want to say is, and yes, they do need help. Yes, they do need therapy. Yes, but you know the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. If a person is extremely toxic, which most of them are, you can't help that person. I want to say to you, they're on their own timeline, they're on their own journey in this world, and they need to learn from their own karmic lessons, right? They need to learn their own mistakes. And I believe that they're so miserable that they're trying to make your life miserable also. So don't let them, okay? No miserable life for you, okay? Eight of Wands, lots of communication coming in from this toxic person. Why haven't you called me? Why aren't you around? Why haven't you taken me places? You know, incoming messages. Um, I want you to take me to the doctors. No, I don't want her to go with you. You know, talking about your friend or your grandchild, her grandchild or whatever, if it's your parent who's toxic or whatever, right? They never acknowledge your kids, right? And actually you really don't want them to, right? You really don't want them to. So don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out. So if you figure it out, a toxic person in your life, keep it to yourself and just slowly distance yourself away from that toxic person, okay? You know, you are the Queen of Pentacles. You are pragmatic. You can figure out a lot of things in life, and you are very smart and intelligent. Okay. You know, yes, you're all of these great things. You're generating prosperity for your family. You're good at business and wealth and generous and charitable. Yes, yes, yes. And within that high vibration, you could still have a toxic person in your life, right? Whether it's a friend's family member, a friend of a friend, or just someone that you met. It could be just anyone in any scenario in your life, right? And you figure them out, keep it to yourself, number one. Because honestly, the toxic person has a lot of allies, right? They have a lot of flying monkeys. They have a lot of people that will go out and do their bidding for them. A toxic person is often, and I want to say 100% a coward. It's a coward who is so miserable in their own life, so toxic and negative, has sold their soul to the devil. Honestly, has sold their soul to the devil. Works at gaslighting, manipulation, ghosting, smear campaigns, slander, all of that negative crap. That's how that toxic person lives and breathes. Okay. So when you figure out who the toxic person is in your family, in your circle, in your friend group, whatever group that is, right? Keep it to yourself, but slowly start distancing yourself um, from that person and from anybody else who talks to that person. Because honestly, the people that are around the toxic person and continues to talk to them on a daily basis, those people aren't your friends either. I'm sorry to say that. They really aren't. They're the flying monkeys. They are people who go out and do bad things to other people, even if it's behind the scenes, even if it's at night, right? So try your hardest not to, you know, have anything else to do with it, said toxic person. Okay? Don't let anybody, I don't care if it's the flying monkeys, if it's a toxic person themselves, don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out. Because what a toxic person hates most is when you figure them out. They really do. Because now, before you were their supply, you were their energy supply, right? I just saw 234 on the clock. So now you're their you were their supply, and now as you back up and back up and back up, right? You're no longer their supply. You blocked them on everything social media, right? And you just don't want anything to do with them, right? So that's today's reading. I want to see if there is a card that will come out for this reading. Don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out. Because they will try to make you feel crazy. They will switch switch everything up on you. They will switch everything up on you and you're going to think, "Oh my god, was it me?" No, it's their illusion. Toxic people thrive on illusions. They thrive on making people feel crazy because they're crazy, okay? A toxic person wants you to feel the same way they feel. And by them doing that, that's the only way that they're happy. Decision. This first step to achieving your dreams is committing to making them a reality. Yes, decision. Thank you, spiritual team. Decision. Do you want to keep a toxic person in your life with them making you feel crazy, like you are the one who's, doing it all with their illusions being put on you, right? Or are you going to slowly back away and get them out of your life? I hope you do that for your own sanity. So that was this reading. Thank you to my spiritual team. The cards were brilliant for this. Don't let anybody make you feel crazy because you figured them out. Thank you to everyone who watched and listened. I want to say Happy New Year's Eve. Be safe out there, everyone. Drive safely. And until next time, I will catch you guys later. Take care.